All right. Okay, that's an intense intro. Okay, I created this video, this intro and the outro, which you'll see the outro if you stay to the end, all with AI, even the background. It's all been done with AI. I created this PowerPoint presentation using AI, and now I'm going to give you a presentation and walk you through how to build an AI agent. If you're new here, I haven't live streamed in forever. Literally, it has probably been, if I look back, like a couple of years. Not really put together because I don't really care. My hair is a mess. Probably hasn't been washed in a week. I don't know. No makeup. And I've been building that. I built this presentation probably in about 30 or 40 minutes using AI. I'm Jax. I run Zara AI. It's an AI cybersecurity and automation company. I have over almost 2 decades in the cybersecurity and AI space. And one of the questions I get constantly is, how the heck do I build an agent? And some of the biggest challenges I see is individuals being able to understand what is the difference between prompting and actually utilizing an agent. So today's live stream is going to be about the fundamentals of understanding how to build an agent, some of the terms that you hear when you talk about agents, such as MCP, harness, routines, skills, markdown files. I'm going to be covering all of that. I'm also going to be using prompts in Claude Code. That'll be the primary platform this evening to show you how to build an agent. So you might be watching this live. Great. If you have questions, drop your questions in the chat. I will try to monitor the chat as best as possible. I don't suspect very many people actually showing up. So I'm probably not going to watch the chat a ton. If you are here live, you're rocking. There's a few people here live. All right, Becky. All right. What's up? Welcome. Like, you need to learn how to create an AI helper. If anything, Becky could be co-hosting this with me and teaching me how to use whatever, what's his name? Nick or Steve or Victor, her agent. So drop any knowledge bombs you got, Becky. But for people out there that are like, God, I don't know why my agent isn't working. I feel like my agent forgets how to do tasks and da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to teach you all of that. So let's get into it. Let's jump into it. All right. So let's learn how to build your first agents. Dun, 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 dun. So first thing we need to learn is everything that we're going to be talking about is going to be in the Claude space. So if you don't have a large language model, thank you, Becky, for sharing my link with some people. I appreciate you, girl. If you don't have a large language model, you need to like use one, but purchase one, purchase a subscription. when I last looked into this, you can build an agent without having a subscription. So there's a lot of free ones. I have clients that I help build agents with the $17 Claude subscription. It's pretty easy. So we're going to be doing everything today in Claude. There's Claude app, it's Claude Cowork, Claude Code, there's Dispatch. There's a lot, it's confusing. So really quickly, we're going to be working in the Claude application on my computer. However, I work in Code also, which is terminal based, but I have Claude Code that's also in my application. You can also use this on your phone, but the data that you're going to see on your Claude Code on your phone is going to be different. They did create a way of doing Dispatch. I personally have not been able to get Dispatch to work. It's a way to use your phone to drive into your desktop. I actually need to try to make it work. Every time I've done it, it doesn't seem to connect. So if anybody's ever gotten that to connect, great. Cowork, I see Cowork for me is like, it still connects into your files onto your computer, but it's a little less of a machine as far as being effective for some of the work that I want to get done in Claude Code. So I use Claude Code primarily, but that's for client builds, coding, but I'll use Cowork if I need to do something like a presentation build and I need access to certain folders, I'll use that. And then the regular Claude app is like, think of it like a prompt, like a chat agent kind of thing. Cool. With an agent, you don't per se program an agent. You're going to program it, but through a description. And we're going to talk about what that means. But that's where we get into prompt engineering. Understanding how to speak to your agent is going to be really effective and help you with understanding how to be able to get it to do things that you need it to do. Two things I want you to be able to leave with today is, and by the way, I haven't looked at this deck at all. I literally had the AI agent create this deck. I don't even know what's on the deck. So every slide is like new to me. Like I kind of glanced at it, but I'm just rolling with this as we do this. So first thing is for you to be able to understand the difference between an agent and a chatbot, which you will by the end of this. We're gonna talk through what the 5 parts of the agent are, what an MCP is, why this is important, why your phone and maybe your laptop disagree when trying to sync, because this thing can, like, I'll do stuff on here, but it won't sync to my agent on the computer. Why is that? And where your money goes, meaning how can we cut your token costs and make it more effective? So I'm going to teach you tips and tricks on how to be able to do that as well. And by the end, if you watch this, really go through this, you are going to be able to have an agent that you can start working with, that you can create loops, routines, skills, and it's going to be able to operate with a task that you have defined for it. In this example, I think that I've built it to be able to clean my inbox. I already have an agent that does it, but that's going to be the example today. And if you follow this, you will have an agent that will be able to go through and clean out your inbox and help you day to day. So we're going to have 8 different demos. I don't know how robust each of these demos are going to be as we walk through it. I built some of these prompts. So we'll be walking through each of these. Essentially, how I created this kind of presentation was give you a baseline understanding, and then let's work on showing you prompts. So I'm not going to be speaking to you the entire time. I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm going to be doing prompts. I'm going to let you see how we move through all of that. And then let's jump into it. So a chatbot answers versus an agent acting. What are the difference here? A chatbot. How do I clear my inbox? Like asking questions. It gives you an answer and then it stops. There's no OODA loop. There's no process with it. It doesn't think deeply. You'll ask for like research data and it's going to provide you that information. There's no real engine. There's no real integrations behind it. That's what it means by no tools, no memories of doing anything. Things aren't getting backed up. That's why you're getting frustrated. You're like, but I'm telling it to do this thing. It did it, but then it doesn't do it again. Or I tell it to do it again and it just finishes it halfway. There's complexity too. Like if you're also talking to an agent in the chatbot, and you're giving it a complex question or a complex thing and you're not breaking it up, it doesn't have the tools to sparse data, it can also get confused. So that's your chat bot. When you're working with an agent, the things that, and I'm going to show you how to do this because I already have my environment set up, but I'll show you how you create it, is you've got to do integration. So you've got to think of it like you're training your agent. So you'll have certain set of integrations. You'll have also what's called a harness, which is brings everything kind of together within the ecosystem. Also similar to like an MSP also has interconnections. You have API keys. Example at the lowest level is your email. Say you use Outlook or you use Gmail. If you don't go in and actually connect that into the agent, it doesn't just magically have access to your inbox. Therefore, it's not going to be able to clean your inbox. And therefore, you're using it as a glorified Google when you're working at a chatbot. And this is where most people are, is that they're at the chatbot level. They're not actually at the agent level. Let's get you to the agent level. So the anatomy of an agent, you've got 5 parts. The brain is the large language model. So depending on the LLM that you're going to use, depends on the brain that you want. I like Claude Code because I do a lot of coding projects for my clients. I build a lot of software. I also use ChatGPT. I find that ChatGPT for creative projects, graphic design, like if I need some help with the user interface, I might use ChatGPT. I have also used Gemini, and I pay for that because I use it for my quality assurance of my code. So when I have one agent that is getting stuck, I will have another brain come in like Gemini and do quality assurance for my Claude code. That is your brain. It's your large language model. Anthropic, OpenAI, think about it that way. Your tools are kind of the integrations. That's what I was talking about before. That's where you get into your email, the calendar, Notion, anything that you're wanting integrated. And there's like thousands and thousands of these. And there's sites that like Amplifier, can't remember the name of it. I don't remember. You guys correct me, but there are sites where you can get these tools that are already integrated for you to be able to utilize and just drop right into your agent. The memory, this is really important because people just assume your agent is just going to have memory, and it will to a small portion. It will have memory as far as the context of the chat window that you have going on, and we'll talk about this when we get into the token structure. But if you don't compress that chat window, it will keep needing to go back all the way to the chat history, and it's going to use a larger and larger amount of tokens. So we're going to talk about how to create a memory for your agent and be able to back the agent up so you're not having 50 first dates with your agent every time you get in and your agent doesn't know what you're wanting to do, and then you get frustrated. The next is a loop. And I feel like a lot of people fail on this one. They'll do the brain, the tool, the memory. If they get to memory, most of them stop at brain and tool, don't get to memory, never make it to loop, forget the guardrails. What are those? And a loop is where we'll break this down even further, because I think the loop is very important to understand how to get your agent to be able to repeat a process over and over again. And this, in my opinion, how I understand loop 2 with the clients that I work with is I will have agents that will have a loop for a ticketing system that I have in place for a software that I created, where my clients have the ability to submit a ticket. When they submit the ticket, the agent knows 3:00 in the afternoon, I go and check, are there any tickets? Yes, grab a ticket, fix the ticket, then send an email to the client letting them know that the ticket has been addressed. I also do this for my patching weeks. This is a way of like an example of a loop. A next thing is like a guardrail. Think of guardrails as like railings at a park, a security perimeter, limits that you put in place. An example is, as we go through the agent build today, is understanding, telling your agent specifically, you will draft emails, you will never send them or you'll say you will draft emails for everybody but Sandy. If there's an email that comes in for Sandy, or maybe you have a marketing thing going out right now where when somebody applies for the newsletter, it comes back with a title and you want to auto reply as fast as possible with a canned responsive, thank you so much for subscribing to our newsletter. We appreciate you. This is a guardrail that you can put in place. This can also go into like your overall like harnesses that you have in place with your frameworks and your security measures as well. The loop is the whole trick. Okay, that's what I was talking about. It's very important for you to understand the loop. This is where you can really get the agent to be superpower and you're not having to be continuously engaging with the agent. This is where you're able to plan. You'll be able to break down the goals and the steps. The planning part is really important when you're building out very big projects. Today's plan, it's not going to be as challenging, but when I'm working on a very large client plan, it's very important to create the plan, then create the actions, decide on the tools that you'll need. Once that happens, you'll have an observation, look at what's actually coming back. How is the agent responding? Are they understanding the plan? Adjust if not, and then be able to repeat until you've reached the goal. And that's where you can see the loop in various different formats. Like this would be a great example if you're in like an intelligence sector and you're trying to create attribution and you're needing to pull more identifiers, indicators of compromise and pulling data in. Maybe you're doing research and analysis on trends within real estate, for an example. This could be another thing where you're going to want to repeat, observe, adjust, repeat, plan, and go through that as like an OODA loop process. Your first agent in 5 steps. So first thing is, I want you to pick a chore that you do every day. Today, the agent that we're going to build is going to clean out your email box, right? But on your own, one of the things I want you to do is, what is one thing you hate? I hate checking my email. I hate doing calendar invites. It drives me crazy. Pick a chore you do every day that you hate. Then write down on a piece of paper, I know, old school, or type it out, whatever you want to do, the step-by-steps that it requires you to take to do that. For an example, you have to go into the inbox and you have to look at the emails, and then you have to first do a scan of what's spam and what's not spam. Are there any that pop out that you need to respond to immediately, etc.? Write down all of those steps. Then take that, clean it up, take that, paste that in to your agent, and then allow it to come back and connect the tools that you need, and then allow it to come back with feedback, and then add in the guardrails before you actually run the routine, meaning run cleaning up the inbox. And we'll talk through a little bit on those guardrails and what that means, but that's essentially saying, I want you to every day, twice a day, go through my inbox and clean out anything that looks like spam. I want you to respond to any emails that come from X, Y, and Z, or just in general, but put them in draft and don't respond. And then if anybody is sending me, I don't know, an email for a calendar invite, and I've already proposed a time to them and they've responded with an agreed upon time, don't send another email, just schedule a calendar invite. And the calendar invite's another routine I just added into this instead of just cleaning up the email. And I want you to work on that. I want you to like really sit and try to get the agent to be at the most expert level. And then once you trust it and it's there, make it reoccurring, make it a routine. You can always tweak the routines when you get it there, but that's where that automation piece starts. But a lot of people stop at the first or second. They never get to the actual automation where it hands off and it's working for them while they're sleeping. These are some things that I see that beginners do wrong. They try to automate everything, and then they get really frustrated because they have one prompt window or whatever, and they're trying to get this agent to do freaking everything in this one chat prompt window. And I'm going to show you how wrong that is, because if you need to be able, especially in like Claude Code, you need to be able to have your agent work in a certain set of folders. Those folders will keep it aligned and understanding what you're wanting from it. It's like giving an employee every single job all at once. They're not going to be able to understand that. Being able to break up their roles and responsibilities. Also, vague prompts. Be very direct. When you can break things down into phases and into like bullet points or something, I find that's one of the best ways to work with and speak to an agent. There's also a lot of prompts out there on basic things like email cleanup, scheduling stuff, task lists that you can find open source that'll help you with building this. They don't put guardrails in place is another one. They're just like, and I get it, you're not a security person like me, and it's like, woo, free for all, whatever. It's just going to do the thing. That's very, very dangerous. So understanding and putting guardrails into place is really important. And trusting, output blind, just like not checking things. I always check stuff before agents starting it out, and I highly encourage people to do that. Don't just check the agent. Don't like trust and not verify. And then getting frustrated and quitting and be like, God, it's just all hype. It's just all hype. There's nothing to this. My agent doesn't work and it's broken. Claude's broken. It's probably operator error. Truly. All right. Here's the fun part. Let's get into it. I'm gonna share my screen on my Claude screen. Oh God forbid the demo guides bless me tonight. And I am doing the thing that are always like, be careful when you do a demo. All right. Let me pull this up. Extra screen. Okay. All right. I set a primer over here. I put guardrails in place. God forbid my agent go rogue and it starts showing personal information. That's on me if it does. So let's have fun. All right. Here we go. I have got a training video session primed right here, and this is the folder that it's working in. When you start a new, and I'm just going to show you this for this an example, and then we're going to come back to this. So when you are in code, and you can do this also in like Cowork. So we're over here. You got Cowork right here. You can still select a project in a folder. When you're in chat, that's where most people like hang out. You can't. That means it's not going to be able to get into your folders. It's not going to be able to get data off of you. But in here, you can select and it'll be able to go into there, go into that specific folder. And that's what you want. You want to keep an agent very isolated because that'll keep it tokens down, but it'll also keep it really focused on the build and keep things clean and organized. So we're in here. It's already added into here, into this folder. So I've got a prompt that I am going to give it. Let me pull up my prompt one first contact that I have. I'm trying to have too many screens open right now. Let's see. Showing on. There we go. Okay. Bringing this over as I delete it. Well done. Okay. Come here. All right, cool. I just gave it a prompt that says there is a PowerPoint presentation in the folder. I dropped it in there. It's essentially the PowerPoint presentation I'm showing you all right now. It's in a zip, blah, blah, blah. So you need to unpack it, read the slides only, ignore the speaker notes. They're my private prep. Tell me in 3 sentences what the presentation teaches, and then write a short README markdown file for someone who missed the class. Ask before you create any files, things like that. So we're going to let that sucker run over here. And a markdown file is a file that doesn't have any, what is the best way of explaining a markdown file? It is, what is the way? It is plain text file. So it doesn't have anything fancy as far as extensions that are used. It's a simple like keyboard format text, and there's nothing fancy about it. Everybody have you ever seen a text editor? That's essentially what it is on your computer, and it's really the simplest way for agents to be able to read documents is through markdown files. So while that does that thing, I'm going to bring you back over here really quick, and we're going to jump into some quick terms. Wrong screen. That one. Cool. Look at me. I'm like slicing and dicing. Okay, cool. So we ran that. We're going to let that run for a little bit. The words that matter the most in this space, AI agents, we've talked through that. Large language model, we talked through this. This is the brains, the system that you use, Grok, or whatever it's called, Grok, OpenAI, ChatGPT. Next is the prompt. This is your instructions. Prompt shouldn't be longer than, they should be detailed, but not longer than 2 pages. Same with skills, like detailed, but not super long, or you're going to confuse the agent. I've noticed that shorter, concise prompts work a lot better. Tokens are the unit of measurement for cost. your context window. Some of you have ran into this before where you're working and then you run out of context window space. I'll show you where that is on Claude, where you can see that. Important thing on this is being able to compress that and do a reset of your context window, because the further you continue on, the more tokens your agent's going to have to use to read through that entire token window. And then we talk through guardrails. This is really your parameters and what you're putting in place for your agent's left and right limits in what you do and don't want them to do, essentially. Another word that you're hearing a lot of, and I even have had struggles with this, is understanding what a harness is. This is, and I like how it's written here, is like the harness is the car, the model is the engine. And think about the harness as like, I don't know if this is the right way of explaining it, but it's like the wrap around where it has everything inside of it for the engine, the tool list, the loops, the files, the folders, everything is within that, like what harnesses it together. So when you think and you hear somebody say, I like that says Claude can't do that, typically 9 times out of 10, it's the harness. It's not the model. It's probably a lack of an integration, because you can, and we won't get into this now, but you could use something like a VS Code and harness Claude into that, put Claude into that environment. And then you could create a multi-agent environment. So even if there aren't things that Claude could do, you can create a multi-agent environment that works with Claude, that's harnessed in, that can complete whatever you're needing to get done. Okay, let's swing back over to this agent and see, can I add another screen? That would be rad, wouldn't that? No, they really need to make that where you can like switch around. Okay. Let's see what happened. Okay, it ran an up zip. It teaches a complete beginner that an AI agent's just 5 parts, a brain, a tool, broke everything down. Now there's a README file, one file in the folder that the class covered. So I now have a README. I'll throw this in I'll throw the README folder somewhere where you guys can get it, just so you can see what a markdown file is. And usually in a code database, you're going to see a README plan. And a README plan is a way of understanding what the build is for and how you can use the build. Just a fun fact. So any code, not every code is going to have a README. Typically they will, though. That's what you would open, read before you did anything else. And then because it'll tell you, use this for that, that's for this. And it's, this is what your outcome's going to be. Awesome. All right. Moving the F on. Let's get into the next prompt. Okay. Next prompt is we are going to give it memory. Yeah. Let's give this bad baby memory. So here we go. I got the agent prompt. I keep deleting it, so that's phenomenal. Okay, cool. All right. Right on. I think it's trying to copy the image over from the... Okay, create a Claude MD that in this folder with... MD is marked down in this folder with a standing rule. You follow every session. Always ask before creating files. Never commit without showing me the difference. Showing me the diff. Keep explanations under 5 sentences. So I have bypass permissions. We'll see if it actually asks me. You can change your permissions down here. If you're doing like a heavy code database thing, you might want to have like auto step edit. This is just pretty much carte blanche. And also another thing to note is you might click this here, but you might have to also go to the settings in your permissions under security and also check the bypass permissions there. This is another thing to note while it's doing this. The model I have is Opus 5. I probably could actually drop this down to Sonnet 5. These are all the brains. You know, Fabled 5 is the highest one. I'm not going to burn tokens for this class doing Fable. I will use Sonnet, even Haiku. Haiku is pretty low though. Probably don't want to go that low. Point out to the camera, this file does nothing right now. It only loads when a session starts. So this chat is running on the primer, not on the file. Okay. Let's do the next prompt right here. And what this means is just basically this is our backup. Now we're not going to have 50 first dates anymore. When we go in there, and we'll have it backed up if we'd actually done some stuff in here, we'll be able to open that and run the agent. Another thing I would do is probably put in a skill where during a certain time that I'm going to be on, or when I do a certain command, it does a morning sync, and I'll look at the backup that happened the night before to know where it left off and what needs to get done. Okay, catch the camera. This is still the same chat. So quoting it back provides remembering. I don't want to open a new chat. Okay. It's so annoying. Let's do this. Okay. Let me go into YouTube education videos. Let's see what this happens. I'm like, I don't want to open a new chat. It's annoying. Let's see what happens here. Okay, cool. There you go. Ask for creating files. Never commit without showing the div. Okay, keep explanations under 5 sentences. Cool. Now we see it. Awesome. All right, so this is moving ahead very well, in my opinion. Let's go back over to the presentation. Bring that back up. Okay. Takes about 2 minutes. Same folder. Rocking and rolling. All right. Something you need to know as far as a term is a cron, aka it's a scheduled task. I call these cronk. I don't know why, but I call them cronks. But be careful with the cron jobs that you have, because you can accidentally build upon your cron jobs, and you can have a dozen cron jobs. This is no shit what happened to me. I had like 7 or 8 cron jobs, and 6 of them, that might be hyperbolic, but like half of them were doing the same job as the other cron. So be really intentional, and don't be afraid when you're doing these things to go do an audit of your crons to make sure you're not repeating yourself and you're not having crons doing work that's already being done by somebody else. Becky, that's so funny. Okay, I gotta call this one out right now. She did call me out on something. I blindly trusted the agent. I mean, I did slightly. I did a real quick scroll through when I pulled up the PowerPoint presentation. I was like, it looks good. What up, Val? Welcome to the party. Okay. All right, moving on. So yeah, where does the name come from? Unix scheduler, have used cron for 50 years. Okay, yeah, well, you can tell how much I've coded in the Unix space, everything. I have heard this term before, but I just YOLO'd it. I'm like, cool, whatever. So how to build a cron? You would say something like, every weekday at 7 a.m., do X. The way that I felt is like, I told my agent to do something in the morning, and then I say 7 a.m. And then I decided, well, I actually wanted to do it twice. So instead of going into that cron and adjusting the cron itself, I just gave it another prompt and say, hey, I want you to check this twice a day. So now I had a cron checking at 7 a.m. and then I had another cron checking at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And the agent is as smart as you make it. So it's not going to go delete a cron unless you tell it to delete one. So don't make my mistake, because I burned through like no shit 200 and some odd tokens in like 2 weeks doing that. It was so painful. All right. Here's are some baseline words you're going to need to learn. MCP, you're going to hear this all the time. It's really just a standard way of saying plugins for tools. It's a wraparound. There's like MCP companies out there. I don't know how they're making money, because you can actually do this on your own, but MCP is a really big thing. There are companies that will come out with MCPs. That's essentially a server, which is usually hosted through a URL, and you'll have a MCP URL that you'll use as your am I saying this right? Secret or token. You'll copy that URL in, and then you have these like connectors through the MCP. It's like a wrapper kind of thing. I like how it's using as it like a USB-C, which is a little weird, but okay, whatever. Connectors, we've already talked through this, but it's just, you're connecting shit and you're connecting it with an API key. And these are the different connectors. So anytime you're like, I want it to do a thing, your agent doesn't just magically do it. You're going to need a connector. Another is subagents. These don't just like, subagents you have, but you have to request agents. You have to tell your agent Fable 5 is a little better. It'll default, but if you lower level agent, it's not going to just like spawn sub agents. There's ways of doing that, but I will specify for your task, I want you to spawn an agent per task working simultaneously and do the subtask. There's another reason to do that because you'll be able to reduce your token cost. A sub agent will use one token, go out, do a shitload of research, come back, it's still just used one token versus the main agent is like consuming all of your tokens. So use sub agents, be explicit on using them. A sandbox is, think of like a secured box for you to be able to test things. Sometimes you might sandbox and test a software before you roll it out. I did a lot of sandboxing with malware when I used to work in the cyber threat intel space. So like reverse malware, taking malware, dissecting it. And I didn't want it to infect my computer. So I would have like a private area where if it spawned out, it didn't affect my computer. It's kind of the similar way. It's an isolated space to be able to test things. Headless, you'll hear this, like headless agents, headless browsers. It's essentially your agent. How can I explain this? You're not like visually interacting with your agent. It can go do the job behind the scenes without like seeing the face or the body, I guess. I don't know where the headless gets it, but it can go and work without you having to engage it. A big thing I use headless agents for is I will give a command. It will go into a browser. It will go up. I did this one time. I had a headless agent apply for jobs for me one time just to see, just like, is this going to work? I mean, it applied for the jobs. I never got the jobs, but it did go and apply. I just wanted to test and see what do. It took my resume. It applied for the jobs. It did all the submissions. It did everything. I just had to point it, log in, open the browser, and then it did the thing. In a webhook, easiest way of this is just thinking like it hooks into data through a URL, but it could be a Google sheet. You could be pointing it to somewhere. Like as long as there is a way to get the data in, use a webhook. I like webhooks because they're free or pretty like they're free when you're pulling the data. It's been free for me every time I've used a webhook, and you can use webhooks in various different platforms, but it's a better way if you want to reduce costs versus using an API key, but it's essentially the same thing. You're pulling data in like you would with an API key, just a different way of doing it. CLI and terminal, you're probably not going to use this unless you're in a terminal base, but this is where you drive programs in the terminal. IDE and VS Code. IDE, what does IDE mean in cybersecurity? IDE, God, what does that stand for? Integrated Development Environment. Cool. That helps not confuse me anymore. But an IDE is basically a platform tool that helps with organizing your folders, and it essentially gives hands to your agent to do more things. I use VS Code. There's VS Code and what is it? Airtable, I think is the other one that I use. Air something. What is it? It's the one that Gemini uses, but you can tell I don't use it very often because I can't remember the name of it. They're essentially the exact same thing, but just like one of them, VS Code, I like to use that because I like to use Claude, and the other agent, Anti-Gravity. Why did I think Airtable? Airtable is a back-end platform to be able to help you with project management and organizing things. I don't know, but Anti-Gravity is a Gemini product. So I use Anti-Gravity when I want to be able to use my code base, go in there, have my files all in a location. It's well organized. I think it's way cleaner than using the Claude environment because you can see all of your files in one location. I will actually show you my VS Code for something that's not really critical. Let me do my faceless YouTube, actually. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Let me show you what mine looks like and the reason I want to share this with you is once you get to a higher level, I think this is going to help catapult you to even a more expert level to be able to understand how to use Claude. Is this the one? I don't know if that's the one. Okay, let's do this one. Sharing. All right, cool. So this is I have a faceless YouTube folder, and because I'm building a whole social media platform that allows you to edit, cut, post, do all the rad things. And it's actually much better than any software I found on the market. So that's what this is. You'll see right here, you've got Claude Code. If this was gone, I would have options to like open chat, terminal. I could do terminal toggles. This is all my files over here. You have your search options, integrations, everything's in here. I think it's super clean. I can just click on this. This will bring out a terminal screen for me. And then I can also bring up Claude Code. This comes up and then everything's tied into my folder. It's all, what I like is everything's right here. You don't get that in Claude Code. So you can drop stuff in here. You can look at everything. You see your outline, your timeline. It's phenomenal. And you can see it actually working. If you're like me, I like to see what's going on behind the scenes. You can't usually get that inside of Claude Code. Right. We're going back to the presentation. Okay, cool. We've already talked through APIs. Think about it like a server. You're at a restaurant. An API key is like you tell the server, I want this. They go to the kitchen. They come back with the thing. That's an API key. It just connects you in. It gives you the doorway in to an environment to be able to get data. GitHub is a system where like I use GitHub. I have a private and an open repo. That's where I do I back up a lot of my stuff. This is a code repo for my projects that I have. It's great for hosting. Most of you probably won't use it, but it's good for backing things up and also good for like having a memory repo for your agent. Repo, commit, branch. It's just that I kind of just showed you that on VS Code. That was like my repo, my branches, my commit, everything kind of shows up in there and that I can see that. That's why I like using the IDE. And then pull request is for this one right here. I think this would be associated with like a webhook, an API could be a pull or a GET request. You're pulling in the changes. I don't know what that is. What is a pull request? What is it for this right here? What is a pull request for ChatGPT or for Claude? Yeah, I don't know what this means. Oh, yeah. It's an automated AI assisted feature, often powered. Yeah, where Claude creates, reviews, updates code changes inside platform like GitHub. Okay. Moving on. All right, let's go. MCP. Mother truck and P. All right. It's a USB for AI. Think about like you've got Claude. Here's a great visual. And then you've got your MCP, and your MCP, it sits between your agent and all of the environment. And that's where you get your Gmail, your Notion for tracking, browser, database, your files. It's all wrapped up into it. So you can, and security measures, guardrails, things like that. So it's like a plug and play in a way to be able to get your agent operational much faster. How it actually works, there you are. You got your prompt, great. And then you've got Claude, that's your harness, holds all the tools, right? We all know what a harness is now. Y'all are experts on it, well done. Then you've got your MCP server. That's your various different things that are gonna come in with your MCP. And then you've got your actual inbox, your actual pages, things like that. Security bit because I can't help myself. That's funny. Claude knows me oh so well. It says box 3 is an app holding keys to box 4. Connect the ones you need, switch off the ones you don't, and reread the permissions each one's asked for. Yeah, this is like security measures. So what it's saying here is, I think a good way of looking at this is don't turn things on in your environment like a code environment. I'm actually probably not the best at this. It's like turning off things I may not need in an environment. I may not need my Gmail connector, for example, for my faceless YouTube. I might not need my Notion connector for that. So turning those off, it will secure your environment because if something's breached, it's going to be able to get into that repo. So MCPs versus connectors. Ooh, I like this one because I feel like they could be interchangeable, truly. So the easy door connectors, one click inside Claude, it connects everything up. If you've not done that, we'll walk through that in a second. You've got Gmail, Notion, things like that. But an MCP server, that's a key word here, server. It's installed on your machine by you. Sometimes I run it in the terminal. It's just depending on how you set it up. And that's where it gets into having your databases, your browser, your tools. It's configured per machine in the terminal, or like I was saying, in a config file. Does not follow you to another device, which is important because connectors will. And where you graduate once you one click isn't enough. What? I don't even know what that is. We're not even going to try to figure out what the heck that agent was trying to say. Remember that the third bullet on the right here, it's the reason your phone or your laptop disagree. Oh, well, there we go. There we freaking go. I figured out my own problem. Shit. That's funny. All right, cool. Show me your hands. Let's go back into sharing screen. We're going to run another demo on this. Cool. Okay, got my Claude up over here. I need to find the other PowerPoint presentation with the prompt. You guys should see all the shit I'm doing over here on the back end. It's kind of entertaining. I haven't ran a live stream in forever, so... And I see people popping in and out, and I appreciate you all. Maybe I'll do more of these because I know once I do more, people will know, and I'll be more regular. I'm just popping in. I actually don't expect a single person to be here. I'm just going to be talking to the ether of myself. Okay, cool. Dropped it in. All right, right here it says, list every tool and connector you can reach right now. Group by what they're connected to, describe them by category, no account names, IDs, or addresses. Well done. And then tell me which ones you would use to draft an email. Perfect. I love this. We were just talking about like the third bullet point thingy, cleaning it up. So let's let it run. What's the next? And then now name one thing I'm likely to ask you for. Okay. Once it does that, this is the next prompt. It's like, now name one thing I am likely to ask you for that you currently cannot do. Ooh. And tell me exactly which connector I would have to add to make it possible. That's so open-ended and weird, but we're going to roll with it because this is a demo and I didn't check the PowerPoint presentation beforehand. All right, cool. And you'll notice too, I typically, not always, but when I'm doing really robust tasks, I don't just hammer out prompts into here. You're going to overwhelm the agent if you do a shitload of prompts. Just boom, 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 boom. So be really intentional. If your prompt is similar to the prompt that you gave it before or a follow-up to the prompt, then do that. But I will typically try to wait and then I will give it something else. That's what I found the most effective way of prompting the agent so it doesn't lose track of what it needs to get done or drop the ball on something. So I'm going to load this, but look at this. So tools connected. We've got file and code, web browser, email, calendar, meeting notes, chat, Slack, project management, cloud, freelance, deployed, design, session meta, scheduling. That's a lot. That's a lot of crap. I don't need all of this to just answer my emails. I mean, some of these I could create, like I don't need cloud storage. I maybe could use project management, meeting notes. No. Reason I'm questioning that is that sometimes, well, I might, because I sometimes have my meeting notes get dropped into my calendar. So that might be important, but I would probably click off the connectors right here that I don't need. So I don't think I'll need Vercel. I don't think I'll need Slack. Yes, maybe Drive. Probably not Drive. Yeah, definitely not ClickUp, probably. Composio. Yeah, definitely not Economic Index. Maybe not. I don't think I'll need it in Chrome. Don't need Whisperflow either. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So that's how you would like just click these off and clean it up. Now I sent it this message. Now name one thing I am likely to ask you for you currently cannot do and tell me. And it says I can't touch a text message or phone conversation. Okay. You'll need to add a text connector. I don't want to add a text. What the heck? I don't want to add a text connector. I don't want to add a text connector during this demo. Tell me something else that is easier. Lord mercy. If you guys have worked with an SMS connector like Twilio or Surge.app, that's like a level of hell for engineers. I'm good. I'm not going to do that during the demo. Wrong answer there. All right. While it runs that, I'm going to get back to the presentation. We're going to keep cruising on this. You guys are following along. All right. There's 4 doors into Claude. I don't know what this means. We're going to figure it out. Cool. Which Claude am I supposed to open? Ooh, I love this. Because this used to confuse me. I'm like, I don't know. Why are you going to use dispatch, cowork, Claude? I mean, I don't understand it all. Well, Claude in general, and I'll show you it again, like when it first comes up the home, and if you're in the browser, I don't use the browser anymore, but I think it defaults to like the regular just Claude, and that's the chat app. So that's where you're going to write. You're going to do really low-level tasks, okay? Ask basic questions. It can look on the web. It can do things like that, but really, really low level. Then you've got Claude Code. That's what I'm in right now. That's my builder. That's my AI. That's my coding tool. That will be able to read files, whatever I give it access to for the repos, for building out guardrails, running tests, etc. You can put this into VS Code. And then you've got Coworker. This is where you're going to see a lot of people operating if they're in an enterprise environment or at their their work and things like this. This allows you to start building tasks. I can do now, just to be clear, what you can do in Cowork, I can do in Code. I just have a lot more capabilities in Code than in Cowork. I feel like Cowork is the user-friendly version of having like that power and strength that you're going to get from Code, but for the average user. So this is where you can do reports, create PowerPoint presentations, do a lot of things, but at more of the average user level. And then you've got dispatch. This supposedly, I did research on it, supposedly connect to your phone, and then it connects the work that you're doing on your desktop to here. I haven't got it to work. So if anybody here has got it to work, great, let me know. But it fails every time I try to connect it. But those are the 4 things that you're going to see. And God knows, probably going to come out with a 4th one because it's not confusing enough. And that's that. All right. Terminal versus the app. So you hear Claude Code and people will be like, well, I don't want to work in the terminal. I get it. I hear it. It's confusing. You can essentially do what you're doing in Claude Code in the application in the terminal. But in the terminal, you're going to have to code. You'll still be able to use the Claude app in the terminal, which allows you to do prompts. But if you're actually doing the programming, then you're going to be using the terminal screen, and it allows you maximum control into the space. But most of you guys won't be there, but that's why you hear code. You don't actually need to code. You can, but you'll likely be able to use it in the application or a cloud sandbox as it has here. I will no access to the machine or local tooling. This is okay. I don't know why it's actually telling you about a cloud sandbox. This is great, but none of you are really probably going to be using this. This is where you can test and isolate clones and do things in an environment that is secure, that won't impact your machine, and you can do it in the cloud. But I don't think it's relevant to this class, so we're going to move on. See, this is why I should have read the whole entire deck before I did it, but YOLO, right? Back to desktop app in the browser for Claude Code, because that's another thing it's confusing. And the functionality, in my opinion, is different. I just tried the Claude browser recently because I was trying to run a demo and I didn't want to have to move my screen back and forth. So I just opened it in my browser and I realized that the Claude Code that I had on my app on my computer, I didn't have the same access in the browser. That was one of the big things I didn't like. Functionality is different when you're working in the application than it is in the browser. You're going to have better usability, I think, in the application than in the browser. The desktop app can point to the real folders on your Mac. Browser tab is sandboxed away from your disk. Runs Cowork. So this is an area that you'll see that I noticed at my last W2. The Cowork was in the browser. I think that's likely because of security reasons versus having it as an application. Plus, with an application, you're going to have to get approval to download, do all these things. Local MCP servers, tools that run on your only be wired up there if the app is installed. That's fair. Okay. And then scheduled tasks that touch local work. Basically, how I'm seeing it is that if you use the application and you can use the application side, it's going to be more powerful. It's going to give you better access because it's going to have more visibility onto your machine. Than in the browser, you're going to have limitations. That's the moral of this story right here. But you're going to still be able to have a powerful machine if you're stuck in the browser. Say it's at an enterprise at your company. Val just asked a question around, maybe not just now, but a while ago, said, how do you choose between models in each of the Claudes? Well, they're not really different models. They're different functionalities. So for this right here, it really, what I do, so if I want to do a search and I want it to have, I want to do, what's in a search, a low-level search example that I wouldn't use Google for example. Like I try to use Google as much as possible because I don't want to dry out our land and kill our energy sources. So I do try to use Google. But if I'm like, okay, that's a good comparison. So let's say that I, instead of looking for a restaurant to eat at, because I did this one time, actually, this is a better example. So I have a friend I'm trying to help find a wig. And in Google, I could search for, can you provide me with the places that have 27-inch wigs or whatever, which is really long hair. It's really long. Blonde wigs, very hard to find, right? And Google will give me a summarization of a message with some options, right? It won't be really robust. But if I use Claude, the chat app, and I'll show you what that is, and I say, I need you to provide me with all of the listings of all of the vendors that provide, and go in their site and verify that they have these wigs, and then provide me the URLs. That chat app, depending on the model that I'm using, they'll be able to go in there and verify those wigs. So let me show you an example of this, actually. I think this will help you, Val. So, Claude, cool. Over here at home, and I would use, chat or co-work, you're going to be able to change this. So if I need it to think at a super high level more than Google, but I don't need it to connect into all of my folders, I'm going to use this chat, and then I'm going to use probably Opus. I probably wouldn't use Fable unless I really needed it to do deep analysis of wigs in the area. And I could probably use Hike, to be honest, if I needed it to do something like local and I didn't need it. But I knew that finding a wig with 27-inch was going to be really, really hard to find because they're very, very, they sell very quickly. So I used the higher model. If you're doing something like creating a program, and Val, this is for you, creating a program to be able to analyze your client acquisition flow, what I would do is I would do co-work. I would connect it to your files and folders that you have data sets connected to that client acquisition flow. I would do your connectors that are connected to your client acquisition flow, whatever that is, if it's like a software tool or whatever. And then I would change it to Fable 5 for the initial prompt to start the initial planning and building of it. Once you got it going and it started to understand and build out what you're needing it to do as far as identifying those gaps, and you're getting it into a good flow state, I would drop it down to either Opus or Sonnet 5. The only time I use Fable 5 is if I run into a coding problem and I am unable to figure it out, I will switch to Fable 5. Or if I'm doing a brand new build on something, otherwise, these two right here can manage any of the situations, or switch it to chat or go to Google. And most of you won't need to live in code. I hope that answered your question, Val. It's a good question because a lot of people will default to Fable 5 when they're trying to set up their inbox. And you don't need to do that for this agent build. You don't need Fable 5. Sonnet will be fine. Easier one. I can post you a reply on X, Twitter, Reddit, or LinkedIn right now. Only research those. Okay, sure. Let's try it. Sure. Post to, I don't think it's connected to any of my social media, actually. Like post to anything you are connected to, and be nice. I don't want it to, like, I don't know, go rogue or something. I don't know what it's going to do. I probably shouldn't have done that. That's probably a bad idea, but it's okay. Whatever, YOLO. I can delete it, right? But whatever's on the internet stays on the internet forever and ever and ever. Okay. Why your phone setup isn't on your Mac? Okay, it's like reading my mind over here. We just talked about this. Okay, you got your local machine, Cowork, Claude Code. It runs on the Mac, right? And then remote, you got the Cloud Sandbox. The Claude Code, it will open from your web or your phone. I see it. I'll see things on here, but it's not syncing, and I don't understand why. Now I'm looking at this. It's because one lives in the cloud, and it's tied to the repo. Okay, so on my phone, you'll notice that in code and stuff, it's tied to whatever repo you have. So mine's GitHub, but they're not, I'm not backing them up, or I'm not seeking. Something's happening. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. So when you build out your agent, it will default to save onto your computer, usually on the main OS system, your RAM. And if that's the case, and the only things I can reach are because they're in my GitHub repo in the cloud. So when you're trying to connect, if they're not syncing, it's because on your phone, you're working through the cloud. And the reason you want to have dispatch is because it's in the cloud and it will work even when you're offline. And now it's all coming. Now I'm understanding, because once I can get dispatch hooked up, a lot of my stuff will probably be able to run more effectively in the cloud. And if it's in the cloud, you won't have to have your laptop open. And another thing about this is people get frustrated because they'll have a routine that's supposed to run at 8 a.m. Well, it won't run unless your laptop's open, or unless you've built it into the cloud, which I've done for some of my clients, or you're going to have to tell it to run. Keeping that in mind. Okay. Everything follows you. Chat history, your projects, your connectors you've authorized. What stays on the machine are all your local files, your folders, your MCP servers. All of that stays there unless you put it into the cloud environment. And people get frustrated because they're like, I built it and now I can't see it on my phone or wherever else. And it's because it's located on your computer. And this is a very important thing to note when you're building out complex agents. When you move, you're going to have to back that up somewhere. That could be another class for another day. The limitations per, what would you call this? Per agent is going to be dependent on how you're using it. So Claude, like chat app, it's going to be able to answer. It's not going to be able to put anything into motion. It won't have any hands, no files, no anything. It'll go out, search the web, come back. Cowork desktop. This one has, this one can operate when the Mac is open. Claude terminal, you'll need to be able to install nodes for it to work, but you can't connect it to your phone. And it can work in my terminal. So when I have my agent up on my terminal, like one of the things that I do in my terminal, I can't do in my Claude desktop, is I can tell my terminal to caffeinate my computer for 1 hour or 2 hours. That means it'll leave my monitor open. I'll dim my monitor screen and I'll walk away and my agents will run for an hour or two. And then once that time runs out, it'll turn off my computer if I need to walk away and go to the gym or something. Claude Code in the app, no local files, no local tuning, needs a GitHub repo. So everything I have for the Claude Code in the app, this right here, this meaning on my phone, I've noticed that I have to be able to connect to my repos, but if I don't have what I have in my application on my computer connected to my repo, I'm not going to be able to have access to it. And then dispatch is another thing that will sync these. And that's the thing I haven't been able to sync together yet, but we'll see if I can get that done, but who cares? VS Code or plain terminal. If you use VS Code, I'm looking at these and these are confusing. Basically, VS Code is going to allow you to see the files and folders and everything right there versus having to go in and see like CD or LS or whatever to get the terminal to show you all of that in real time. You're also in the terminal going to have to do more scripting and coding versus VS Code. You're going to be able to prompt, but you're going to still be able to see the code database and see it building everything out. That's the biggest things on those. Okay. I'm looking at the agent and see if it actually did anything. Okay, it's saying here, let me show you. It's saying give me this thing. I don't know. I think this is a really bad demo. This is funny as shit. Okay. Okay, it says post won't go live. Give me a platform and run topic. You I don't know, you check my connectors and see what you can, because I don't know what it can connect, what you can. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do whisper flow. This is annoying me. I have a whisper flow. You check the connectors and see what you can connect to, and then you create a topic and tell me what you're gonna do. I feel like that's most of my heterosexual women trying to go on a date and having to tell a guy to go and plan, and like, you go and plan the date. You do the thing, agent. Don't make me have to do everything with my life here. Good Lord. Anyway, bad dating joke. But it's so true. Okay. 7 parts of a good agent prompt. Okay. Let's go through these real quick. So you've got your role, who it is. You're in my inbox. You're my inbox assistant. So you'll notice that prompts will say, you are my inbox assistant. You are a UX designer. It'll have triggers in it. That's basically telling it a skill or a routine that you need. You'll have your source, your Gmail or your Outlook, and looking at it as far as like in the last 24 hours. I usually do shorter than that, but that's okay. And then the steps numbered in order. This is important. Do this next, do this next. Guardrails, we've covered that. That's your left and right parameters. Your output is maybe it's providing you with a list of emails that you need to prioritize them by color, number, whatever, or task lists that need to get done. And then what is finished like to you? And that's what you have to define. For me, it's being able to have draft emails and a list of things that are still pending, that got cleaned up, where things stand, etc. And then just write it like a briefing, like a new hire, their roles and responsibilities. The clearer you can get, the better the agent's going to be able to work. So something I've seen for prompts is people will be like, handle my email, clean this up, but they don't give like finite details. So the right is actually like an example of every weekend at this time, I want you to audit at this time, go through everything unread for the last 24 hours. 1, again, bullet points and numbers, something to break this up for the agent. 1, I want you to flag anything urgent. 2, write replies for the 3 to 5 emails that need responses. I don't know why it has 3 to 5. That's weird. Just say, write emails that need responses might be better. Save them as a draft. Don't send them. 3, summarize the rest in one line each. Send me the summary. So it's first thing I see. And you could even say first thing I see at 8 a.m. every day, whatever you want it to be. How to be able to point your agent at a real inbox safely. So you'll be able to connect it. You'll do it through connections, and then you'll be able to test it. That's what I always do. I always run tests before I run anything live. Never on camera. Yeah, I would never send names, addresses. So we're not going to do any of this. But I'm going to actually paste this next prompt in, because now we're getting into setting up the inbox. Let me see. I'm a little worried. I'm not going to show you the screen until I run it, because I don't want it to go rogue. My agent just got back to me and said, this is really funny. It said, so here, you don't program an agent, you describe the job, the one sentence idea from the class. Like, it's trying to teach me what not to do. Lord mercy. So we're still going back and forth. I don't think it's going to be able to make a post on my LinkedIn or one of my socials. But it did do what I said, which was like, find something you can help me with, you cannot do, and tell me exactly which connector I'd have to add to make it possible. And now it's asking for the connectors. I'm not going to give it the connectors. So we're not going to do that. But I went ahead and I pasted this session is being recorded, never display this, et cetera in there. So now as it's running that, I'm going to go into the next prompt and say, handle my email. And then I'm going to do the next prompt. And then I'm going to let this run. I don't want to share my screen yet, because I want to make sure no privacy information gets skewed, but I don't think it will. We should be fine. I would actually write this prompt a little differently. I would probably actually do something like priming it like you are my inbox assistant. You are going to go through my email and do X, Y, and Z. Like, this is a generic prompt. As I said before, I just kind of scanned through this deck before we got this kicked off and rocking and rolling. So we'll do an actual prompt class to help you all with setting this up to make it a little easier. It's pulling unread emails right now from the last 24 hours. Oh God, that's terrifying. Okay. 6 phrases worth memorizing when you're working with agents. Starting with set up reoccurring task. Another is draft it. Don't send anything. Be very explicit. Ask me clarified questions before you start. I will usually end with this and say, ask me questions to verify that you understand what I'm saying. Is this the same thing here? It will pop up with questions. I do this when I have a complex problem that I'm trying to work through. I want to make sure the agent understands it. Oh, good question. What is whisper flow? Whisper flow spelled very similar, very close to that, without the H and without the E. So it's WISPR flow. And it is a voice to text. So I can just talk into it and you can speak faster than you can type. And I use it all the time. It also recently came out with, or at least recent to me, because it just popped up, it also does meeting recordings. So when it knows that something like a meeting starts, it will pop up and say a meeting just started. I love it. It gives you, what I also love about it too, is I can copy and paste things that I've said, big sentences, big things, over to my agent and train my agent on my voice that way. TJ, it's good to see you, man. I know. Can you believe it? LinkedIn. I'm just going live. This is a complete renegade. I'm going rogue. I didn't even really like plan this. So thank you for hopping in this evening on this journey with me. You're amazing. All right, cool. Let's keep rolling over here. What's happening on the Claude screen? Let me make sure there's no, okay, rad. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay. What do we got? No PII data. Okay. It is saying it's auditing the inbox, flagged and urgent, a client thread, waiting on scheduling confirmation, drafted a reply, save not send, client thread addressed to primary to a colleague, you CC'd ambiguous whether to reply is expected from you. I know which one this is. Everything else, 1 line each. Vendor, thank you after visit. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know what most of these are. It did a really good job obfuscating information where can't entirely tell. So what would essentially happen, instead of saying a client thread, it would have given me an email, maybe even their email address with the information all the way down. It would have probably even prioritized these. So what I like when it does this, and I've trained it really well, is it will only flag and means a few things urgent. Not everything in your inbox needs to be urgent, because that becomes overwhelming. And then I could essentially read and go through the drafts and everything that it did. And then once I get this set up, I haven't actually created a routine yet. It's just starting to go through stuff. Routines, you'll start to see like up here. We're still in a chat bot area down here. Just keeping that in mind. These are all my routines that run depending on what I need to get done for a client or something like that. So very important that you note that too. Routines don't just spawn out. Hey, you're very welcome, Whisper Flow person. It says LinkedIn user, so I don't know your name, but I appreciate you asking the question and being engaged. Thank you. Okay, let's kick it off. Keep moving. All right, moving back to the Prezi I made. I didn't make it. My agent made it. All right. Let's see. Oh, speaking of a schedule, this might actually do it. Let's go back. Getting ahead of myself over here. All right, let me pull that prompt up over here. This will probably create the routine. Now, usually in my prompt, I will usually say create a routine. This says set up a reoccurring schedule task that runs every weekday at 7 a.m. Eastern, does exactly what we just did, which I would specify did exactly what we just did. I would specify what that is. Save the replies as draft, never send anything, and email me the summary so it's first thing I see. Keep the no names redactions rule in the summary. Obviously, you wouldn't need that for your agent. You would want to see that information. So once it runs that, it's now create a reoccurring scheduled task. Cool. And then I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to show you my screen over here. I think it's going to be okay. It's not going to show you guys any PII data. It's running, it's thinking, it's doing all its things. Since this is relatively close to each other as far as the prompts go, it's not going to confuse the agent. I'm going to go ahead and set it up in a queue status. It's going to allow me to create a schedule. So the reason that this popped up and you haven't seen this before, you might see this if you don't have your permissions as bypass permissions, since I do. The reason that this popped up is because it's creating a scheduled task. So I should see this up in my routines once I click allow. So it's building that out. And then after it does that, it's going to show me every scheduled task I have running when each one fires and what it's allowed to touch. Okay. Oh God, it's going to show all of them. Okay, whatever. YOLO. See, we're going to roll with this. Okay. Let that thing roll. Oh dear Lord. Let's roll it. Like, I have a lot of scoundrel towns going on. Okay. You don't write the agent, you raise it. So you brief it. Nobody's first prompt is right. Mine is, but not everybody's first prompt is right. The skill is the correction loop. And I'm kidding on that. I will still get prompts wrong. That means the agent will do things that frustrate me. And remember, it's not the agent's fault. It's actually your fault. So really understanding how to do the correction loop. Sometimes I've never had to restart an entire screen before, but I've literally had to tell an agent, okay, let's just start over. I think we started on the wrong foot, like start the relationship over. The first thing is you give it 7 parts in the prompt. And I realized, I don't know if we have a prompt framework. I should have included that in here, but there are actually prompt frameworks. And there's a reason for that. You've got to get really clear on your prompt framework. Next is it can't be too long. 1 line each. Keep it really simple when you're trying to build something. Now, I have seen prompts that are exceptionally long. Most of you will not prompts like that. Keep it clear, keep it concise, start with smaller prompts, build upon those prompts. You'll make your life so much easier. That will also help with number 3, making it stick. Add that to the project instructions. And you would say that because then it'll keep that into memory. You say, add that to project instructions or add that to your markdown file for, I don't know, your skills, your routines, or your README. You can build all of that out, or your project instructions, MD, however you want to build your file structure. In your file structure, I could probably do a class on that myself because it's really important how you set that up. And then you schedule it, whatever you're doing. If you don't schedule it, you're not creating automation. You're just prompting again. And hire a reviewer. This has saved my butt so many times, is having another agent check your work. That's where I use the anti-gravity Gemini. And it's the same as the VS Code that I showed you. Very identical layout. I open it up. I open the folder that I'm working in. I ask the other agent to give me a prompt. Say, hey, I'm going to have another agent audit your work. Provide me a prompt. It's going to audit you in this specific area. Provide me a prompt to point the agent in the folder to do the audit, yada, yada. I'll copy the prompt over. The agent will check the work. I'll ask it to deliver me next product. It does it, and I give it back over to the other agent. Great way of being able to review your work that way. This is where I was talking about how to create subagents. Subagents don't just create on their own. You're going to have to actually specify to the agent, spawn 3 subagents in parallel, 1 per file. It should, now going back to Val's question earlier on the model types, if you're using a higher model level like a Fable 5, it will deconflict the operations of the agent. However, you need to be careful because you can spawn agents. They can simultaneously be working, and then they can negatively impact one another, is a good way of putting it. If you're using like a lower level model, like an haiku model or something like that. But usually the agents that are now available work very well working in parallel. And then the rules that make it work. Give each one a narrow job. That's where I get into the ABC, 1, 2, 3. Like, be very specific and then say spawn an agent for each of these versus a blob of like prompt and then say, now spawn agents to do the thing. It's going to be really messy, just like your prompt was. Teach it to hire its own help. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, we're doing on agents. Okay, cool. Let me go over to, oh shit, it did the thing. I'm like, well done, y'all. Well done. I got people still here too. I love you guys. I don't know what this is. I guess it's a privacy setting. What was that about? What was I saying that I'm like, it was a privacy setting? Please remind me, LinkedIn user, because I don't see your name. I don't know why I don't see people's names sometimes. Okay. Let me bring back my Claude screen really quick. Okay. So the last thing we ran over here was like, show me every scheduled task that I have, blah, 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 blah. You can see I have quite a few. I have a couple repeats, I feel like, in here. Yeah, weekly inbox, good morning. That's because I did another class on this for my podcast, 2 Cyber Chicks. So I actually need to delete that because it's just repeating itself. But a lot of these are like API usage for clients, dashboard ticket sweeps, news digest. That's another random one I did for a test. Notion daily task list, all these. So this just shows you what I have. And that's all the things that I have listed up here. So it should have done one of these should be the ones we just created. Oh, right there. It says it even just created. Cool. Duplicate task. There we go. Gmail morning auto already does. Yep, I know. We just said that. So it's good. You want me to disable it? Do it later. Possible guardrails. Look, lead tweet follow-up. Woo. All right. Let's go to teach it to hire its own help. That's a clever way of saying let's spawn some sub agents on this and see how this will work. All right. So we are going to spawn some coworkers is what I'll call it. I'll even sometimes say, I need you to go get coworkers, go out there, do the thing, get lots of agents, make shit happen, and it will do it. Oh, it's but why I get what you're saying now. But it's your privacy setting, not my privacy setting. Got it. You're just being secret squirrel. Okay. I agree. I'm biased to that, TJ. I agree. 2 Cyber Chicks is awesome as well. It is awesome. I can't believe we've been around for 9 seasons and we're about to drop season 9 episodes very soon. It's kind of freaking wild. About to be doing season 10 next year. It's wild. Okay. What is it saying? What it does? So I've got 3 sub agents, a small Python habit tracker, reading, walking, no phone. Okay. Unfinished, weekly email summary, and then a riskiest file. Function parses every date. Okay. So we've got a data analysis one. Okay. So they all 3 help with something different. Bingo. Okay. Thanks, LinkedIn user. You got your privacy setting. I'll never know who you are. You're just going to be lurking in the darkness. But I appreciate the lurking and participation. Okay. Let's jump back into this Prezi over here. Cool. Spawned agents. Look at you. Man, you guys are on it. Wow, the formatting on this is hot garbage, but never let the writer grade its own work. Okay, it's like never have a coder do quality assurance on its own code base. That's funny. Open a new session or spawn a sub agent. If fresh context isn't attached to the choices the first one's made. That's fair. Cleans it up. It makes it a little bit cleaner. I still like using a completely different like IDE environment. I find that truly the cleanest way of doing it because it still has access to all the folders, but you have a brand new agent with completely fresh eyes. I like this. I've not ever done number 2, make it adversarial. That's weird, but I guess that would work too. Assume that it's broken, prove it. I kind of like that. Okay, write and run a test that fails if this is broken. Show me the output. Also like this. I don't know if I've ran that either. Work for no code 2 before finishing checkout claim in that digest against its source and flag anything you couldn't verify. I've done something similar and not that exact thing. And then this other one that's hiding away, I don't know what it says. It says, I'm trying to move it over here, cross model review. Have Claude build, then hand the work to a different entire model. That's what I do. I love this. I think it works phenomenal. I pay for the higher version of Gemini though. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I do pay for a little bit higher level. So I have it as my quality assurance. Okay. So now I don't think it's actually going to do anything with this prompt. I just dropped it in here because I don't have any code in that folder. So I'm going to drop that in there and see what happens. And then I'm going to drop the second prompt that you see on this screen, which is that reads like a rubber stamp. I don't know what that actually means. Try it harder to break it. What input wouldn't embarrass me in front of my client? That's great. I prompted both, even though it said only paste if it goes easy on you. It's fine. We'll keep it rolling. Okay. We are at like an hour something. Cost and power. Let's talk about your power bill and your token cost. This is an area that I see newbies make a mistake all the time, and they run out of tokens all the time because they're not understanding how to cut token costs. It used to happen to me like the first month, and I was like draining money, and I had to like triage it really quickly, like stop the bleed. So first thing is context window. That's the middle one here, but context window. There is, let me show you context window in Claude. They all have this, probably different locations. Let's talk here. So context window for Claude Code is right down here. Yeah, move this up. It's right here. So my context window, I have plenty of time, and it'll even break it down of what's using the most, messaging mostly. But when my context window gets about 75, I explicitly tell my agent to back up everything and then provide me with a fresh prompt. I'm very explicit in it. Provide me a fresh prompt that states where we left off, what still needs to be done, including all the task items, I close the window, but I archive it. I just go over here, and there is an archive feature right here. I don't delete it, is what it is. You can do what you want, but I archive it. It's good to go, and I move on with my life. This is an area where you can see your Fable tokens, all your model tokens, and your 5-hour limit. If you hit this, I mean, you're kind of screwed. You're going to just have to pay for more money. I don't usually hit this too often. It depends on how many agents I have going, but I almost always hit this one. Yeah, and I accidentally spent a lot of money this week. So don't be like me. I didn't actually accidentally do it. I was problem solving something for a client, and I needed Fable 5 tokens, and I ran out of it, and I had a time pack, and I just was like, here you go. Fix the problem, right? Okay. That, and another thing is being able to spawn sub agents will also help you break your token cost down. And then making your prompt shorter. So this tokens is the unit text is measured and billed in roughly 3/4 of a word. So what you send and what comes back. So that's part of like the initial prompt that I gave the agent. I think it was something like keep it down to 2 sentences or keep it like this. So I will sometimes tell the agent, I need you to summarize, and I need you to do it in 600 words or 500 or 200, whatever I'm wanting, because that will reduce your token cost as well. Also, tool definition and how many tools that you have connected. You might not need every single one of your tools for your email. Cut those down, turn them off, the ones you don't need. Cool. Digging into more of the ways to cut your token bill. We talked about number 2. We talked about 1. We've already talked about 3. It's very important to point it into the folder. I'm not sharing the PowerPoint presentation anymore. That's my bad. I think this is a very helpful slide though to take a picture of. This will help you to better just cut your token costs down. Make sure you're in the folder that you're working in. Put rules in a file, projects, instructions. The reason for that, the agent will go and read that instead of reading the entire repo. I have a very large project that I've built, I will tell the agent to go and look in there before it does anything else to help with the organization. Let the sub agents read. Those help burn down token or reduce the amount of tokens. Match the model to the job. We talked about this. You're not going to need Fable 5 when you're doing like an email cleanup. Like reducing that to a lower level when you've got the agent build will save you a ton. Narrow the window, unread messages from the last 24 hours or from like 6 hours or 3 hours. Like you might have it checking every 6 hours, reduce that as much as you can. Ask for less pros, just the change. I think this is just for asking it to just look at things that need to be, like if I'm pulling API data, one thing I've done is just to ask for the key changes and versus looking through the entire repo. That's a helpful thing. And then batch related work, one session doing 5 related things beats 5 cold starts. That's where when I do a prompt, I'll number things out, try to do it all in one thing, and then I'll use sub agents for those things. And that saves me a ton of tokens. Watch the meter move. Okay. Let's see what I've got. Let's get to that one really quick. Look at what I've been, it says, look at how I've been prompting you in this session and tell me the 3 most expensive habits I have. Cool. That's going to be great. And now how much of the context, let's see what it says there. It was also from the last prompt. I know we're running through these pretty quickly too. Let me go back into this. I have got the rubber stamp one right here. 2 real execution failures. 1, the document one. 1 bad data string anywhere. Habits.json throws an unhandled value error in skills entire report. The one nobody flagged. This is your client embarrassment case. Logged the same day twice by accident. Oh, well. I think it's talking about, oh yeah, 4-day logs when only 2 days actually happened. No error, no warning, wrong number. I actually don't know what that's saying right there. I don't think this was a good like instruction. I'm looking through risky files. Let's see. Oh, risky. Okay. This is the same session that already summarized this folder. Not a brand new session. I'm proceeding anyway. It wants me to open a new file. We're not going to do that. We're going to cruise. Okay, fine. Fine. You want me to open a new window. Okay, cool. Let's do it. That's how the agent created the demo, and I'm not playing it. I'm not playing the game right. So let's see. Let's see what it does here. Let's see if this changes the response at all. It's probably going to be like, no. Difference between archive and let's use the word abandoning it. You could delete it. When I did it, because I started this archiving thing like 4 months ago, I remember asking the agent if I could just delete it. And I think I remember it saying it didn't matter, but I think I archive it because I'm scared of deleting it. But you're essentially, getting rid of it, but you're no longer using it anymore. So, but you're not losing that history because it's backed up in your files. So I could essentially delete it. Oh no, you don't need it. Is that the name? JAP, I can view it. I don't know. Jap, I can view. I don't know what that is. Okay, it's doing something. Okay, and another thing you can do too is you can click on this and you can see what's happening. Yay, it's so much fun. I'm a nerd. I like to do it. I like to go through and I'll see what's going on, which is so much fun for me. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. So that's another thing you can do too in here. Let's let it think. It's doing its thinking thing right now. So we're going to go back. Taking way longer than I thought I was going to do on that one. All right, let me go back to my window. Prezi over here. Boom, done. I don't even know how many more. Oh, we're almost done. Cool. All right. 3 free stacks that make your agent stronger. Woo! Free. I love free. All right. So you got tools and plugin. We've belabored this point. We are kicking that dog. When they say free, you have to have a large language model, and then you depending on the software that you're wanting to plug in, like an email or a Notion, there's a lot of free platforms that some of these you're going to have to pay for straight up, especially with API keys. You're not just going to typically get an API key for free. There are secrets. There are like servers that you can get into, but it's not all free. Just want to that disclaimer out there. Infrastructure. Oh, love Cloudflare. You can mostly use Cloudflare for free. I've been using it for free. How do you say that? Supabase? I don't know. I always want to say Subbase, but Supabase, I use this for my database stuff. They do have a free version, but it does kick you off every like 14 days or something. Not kick you off, but it like turns off the server and you have to go back on and turn the server back on. Kind of annoying, but I have an agent that runs a routine. It tells me and I turn it back on. Vercel is awesome too for deploying stuff. I use Vercel for a ton of stuff. I'm on the free version there. It's freaking amazing. Glue and Review. Docker, I do use this sandboxing stuff. Most of you guys won't be getting into this stuff like that, but I would encourage you to learn and plug into GitHub. It's going to help you with backing up information, getting stuff off of your getting stuff off of your computer, just cleaning stuff up in it. You can secure it, do a obviously private repo, make sure to specify with the agent, because it could default to public repo and then your code's out to the world. And that's really messy and weird. All right. Build one agent tonight. So that's your homework. Well, I might not do it tonight, depending on where you're located, but I would absolutely play around. Click the chore. Who says chore anymore? It's like a kid thing. Pick your chore. Go and do your homework that you don't want to do. Easy. And then work with the agent and start it with, you are going to be my email assistant. I want you to go and clean up my email. And then if you haven't already built your integrations into Claude, you want to make sure that you go in there and you add those. And I'm going to show you really quick how to get to your integrations. I'm going to pull it up on my end. Okay. So let's do this. Cool. Okay, I got over here by clicking down here, and you'll have settings. And then when you go to settings, this will pop up. And a lot of this stuff, I mean, you got your billing information and everything like that, but this is the customization. You've got your desktop. I wouldn't worry about it. I'd look down here. This is where your plugins, your connectors, your skills are. So if you go into connectors, this is where you can add either a custom connector or you browse connectors. A lot of times, like there's custom connectors that you can add for, I think I added a custom connector for an MCP server. That might not be in here. That'll be vendor specific. I've only done a few of these. Most of them I've done browser connect, and it's super easy. It'll have a plus sign if you haven't connected it. It literally, I don't think I have a monday.com account, but I'd like click on a Monday and it just popped up on another screen that you can't see. Like bring it on over here real fast. Okay. Let's do this. Where are we? Cool. So this would pop up and all you have to do is like click on this. It's going to come up with your account that you have established. You're going to click on it. Boom. Magic happens. It's like magic happens. And then you're connected. And the next thing you know, you're literally right back over here. And now you have a little check mark. It's as easy as that. If you've never done it, you're just using prompts. You need to make sure you've got these things. I try to connect. I have Amplify Connect. That was the thing I was trying to think about earlier. Maybe I don't have it connected in here. Do I have it connected? Ooh, I'm going to have to do this. Amplify is really good. It's got 1,000 different types of scrapers. And does it have 1,000? Oh yeah, it actually says it here. 1,000. I was just making that up. It has a ton of scrapers. So Amplify is great for lead generation, for example. I use it. There's a couple of scrapers in there that I use. Great tool. They actually have a website. You could actually go, I think you can go to the website and also do it there. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Great stuff. Connectors is where this is how you're going to supercharge your agent. Play with these. This is where you're going to add your Google and your Outlook and your Drive. Every client that I work with that I build out, the 3 things that I give them immediately: Gmail, calendar, Drive. And then I ask them, do you have a note taker? Do you have a task listing? Those are my basic fundamental items to build. For you, I would start with 3. These right here. If you have Gmail, if you don't, shame on you. Just kidding. You probably have work, but I love these. They're awesome. I created my whole business enterprise through this. They have just great integrations. Play with them. Otherwise, you have Microsoft 365. You can do that. There's my Whisper integration as well. I don't really need, So these are all my basic ones that I have. And then I have other like skills. I don't have a ton of skills listed here. Also, another good location. You can upload skills in here, write instructions. You can browse skills that they have by default, which is nice. I guess that's all of them. But yeah, you can have Canva designs, things like that. I probably should get more skills, but whatever, it is what it is. And then I think that's it. Let me go back to the agent build and making sure agent demo live training. Oh, I opened a new window. Oh, looky loo. Okay, cool. So contacts in use right now gives me that. Turn so far 16. Investigations 38%. Baseline systems prompts 62. 82,000 tokens in context right now. Okay. Cool. What can I do to cut my tokens even more? I don't know what it would say. Okay, that's it. We're good. I hope that helped some of you that are kind of in the world of like trying to learn an AI agent and build it into your environment. So it's telling me my biggest lever for specifically cutting it is turning off connectors. Knew it. Boom. So like it's telling me, it's yelling at HeyGen, Teams, SharePoint, like things I don't need, I can turn off. That's going to be my biggest token cost. But anyway, I hope this helped. Remember, prompting, I'm going to leave you with this. Prompting, be really crystal clear. Pull it into bullet points. If you're having issues, take a step back. Start anew, like not a new chat, but like be like, let's start fresh. And even ask the agent, what are you understanding? So you can check your work and make sure it's the agents that's confused, not you kind of thing. It's probably you actually. But everybody who joined my Renegade session, thank you all. I did my hair especially for everyone tonight, which was I did not do my hair nor put makeup on or anything. I just wanted to run with this. I'm going to be putting out more content. It's probably going to be this style because it's way easier to do a live stream and I love chatting with people. I did not look at Instagram at all, but I'm looking over there now and I have a few people. My girl Natalie joined and said, hey, I love you guys. Thanks for everybody that jumped in the chat, that responded, that engaged, even LinkedIn user. I don't know why you would archive it versus delete it. I don't know. I archive it. It works for me. Just stop talking to it. I mean, I think the reason why I archive it is because I want to clean up the left-hand side. I don't like the mess of seeing things that I'm not using anymore. I like to clean it up and get stuff out of there. Otherwise, if you think about it, you're doing this in like 2 years. Claude probably will be something totally different. You're just going to have a plethora of rando chats that are still out there not being utilized. And I don't really want that. So that's probably why. Appreciate all of the questions, all of the engagement. Let me know what you thought. DM me on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever platform you're on, YouTube, wherever I'm talking to you. And I hope you all have an amazing night. I'm out. Toodles. Oh, wait, there is a media. Hold on. Watch this. You ready?